Today we will learn about solubility curves. Our question of the day is describe what this would look like. A sponge is saturated with water. When a solution can dissolve more solute, we call it an unsaturated solution. When the solution cannot hold any more solute, the solute starts piling up on the bottom of the container, we call this a saturated solution. By superheating a solution, we can trick it into holding more solute than it should be able to. Nothing sits on the bottom of the container, and the solution is called a supersaturated solution because it's above saturation. At this point, even the slightest agitation can cause the solid to fall out of solution and the solution to become saturated. We use a solubility curve to show how well a substance will dissolve based on the temperature of the solvent. Data points are plotted when the solution is saturated. Here is an example of a solubility curve showing the solubility of potassium chloride in 100 grams of water. So if we look at 100 grams of water, we start off at 0 degrees Celsius or 273 Kelvin, and we are able to dissolve 25 grams of KCl before it starts piling up in the bottom. As we increase the temperature to 25 degrees Celsius and 50 degrees Celsius, and then 75 and 100, you see that the amount of solute or KCl you can dissolve increases as the temperature increases. Remember, everything on this line is a saturated solution. If you are below the line, it is an unsaturated solution. If you are above the line and the entire mixture looks uniform, you can't pick out any different parts, then this is a supersaturated solution. If there are parts that you can pick out as different, it is only called saturated. From this curve, we can tell that the amount of solute that water can hold largely depends on the temperature. However, concentration does play a part. If the amount of water is doubled, the amount of solute that can be dissolved is also doubled. If the amount of water is cut in half, the amount of solute that can be dissolved would also be cut in half. Next, let's consider precipitates, insoluble solids that emerge or come out of a solution. They can be the result of either a chemical reaction or the solution being unable to hold solute due to a drop in temperature. You can predict how much solute will precipitate using the solubility curve. A special case of this is crystallization, where an impure compound is dissolved in water by increasing the temperature of the water. The solution will then be cooled, usually in an ice bath, until the pure compound precipitates or crystallizes in the container. This works because the solution is supersaturated at the new temperature, and the solute comes out of solution. However, the impurities are at such a low concentration that they can stay dissolved. This is often put through a vacuum funnel to remove excess water. These crystals were formed by crystallization. This beaker has just been removed from the ice bath. Notice how there's an opening down here? It's for a hose to be connected to the nozzle of the vacuum flask to suck out the air. This forces any moisture in the crystals to be pulled through the filter paper in the funnel and into the bottom of the flask, which dries the crystals. Now pause the video and try the show what you know questions. When you are done, you may hit play and resume the video to check your answers. First, notice the substances whose solubility increases with temperature. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all solid solutes. Now, notice the substances whose solubility decreases with an increase in temperature. What do they all have in common? Well, these are all gas solutes. So, while solid solutes increase their solubility with an increase in temperature, gaseous solutes will do the opposite. Their solubility decreases as the temperature increases. For problems 3 to 5, we will need to determine how many grams of KCl can be dissolved in 100 grams of water at 3 different temperatures. By looking at the solubility of KCl in 100 grams of water chart, we can estimate that at 50 degrees Celsius, 42 grams can be dissolved. At 20 degrees Celsius, about 33 grams of KCl can be dissolved. And at 43 degrees Celsius, about 40 grams can be dissolved. Next, consider the situation where 100 grams of water contains 50 grams of KNO3 at 25 degrees Celsius and draw a picture of the resulting solution. This is a good example. You have the KNO3 dissolved in solution, but you also have it down here at the bottom. That's because this is a supersaturated solution. It is above the line on the chart. Now look at number 7. A solution of NH4Cl is saturated at 60 degrees Celsius with no significant visible solute at the bottom of the beaker. If the solution is cooled to 30 degrees Celsius using an ice bath, how many grams of solute will precipitate? Well, first we need to identify NH4Cl is this purple line. At 60 degrees Celsius, that would be about 67 grams of solute. And then at 30 degrees Celsius, that would be about 43 grams of solute. That means that 67 grams minus 43 grams will give you 24 grams of precipitate. Next, let's determine the least soluble substances at both 10 degrees Celsius, which is the pink line, and 50 degrees Celsius, which is this blue line. The pink is KClO3 and the blue is SO2. The solid solute that is the most soluble overall is Ki because it's up here, and the gas solute that is the most soluble is SO2 because it's the only gas on this chart. For number 11, a solution of KNO3 contains 100 grams of solute and 100 grams of water at 50 degrees Celsius. How many grams are dissolved in the solution? Well, if we look at 50 degrees Celsius, we can find the blue KNO3 line and see that it's about 84 grams that can dissolve. The rest of it will be on the bottom of the beaker. Lastly, how many grams of HCl will it take to saturate a solution made with 200 grams of water at 50 degrees Celsius? Well, at 50 degrees Celsius, you go up to the beige HCl line. That's about 58 grams, but that's in 100 grams of water. We want 200 grams, so we then have to multiply that by 2 to get a total of 116 grams of HCl.